this is Teacher Megan and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before anything else, please don't forget to subscribe and click the like button. Alright, what's up for today's video? I'm going to talk about one topic in English that most of my students find very difficult to apply. And these are the rules on subject-verb agreement, or simply the SV agreement. Well, the learning on this topic will help you become a better communicator and a writer as well. Now, if you're going to search for the rules on subject-verb agreement on the internet, you will actually find a lot. And I think there are around 30 rules, but of course, since I cannot discuss all those in this video, I just picked the most important ones. And of all those rules, there is only one general rule that I want you to bear in mind, and that is the verb must always agree with the subject. Meaning, if the subject is singular, then it should take a singular verb. If it's a plural subject, then it should take a plural verb. And if I were to give one tip for you to easily answer a subject-verb agreement test, this is, you have to first identify the subject. And upon identifying the subject, or the one being talked about in the sentence, you have to ask yourself, what is the number of the subject? Is it a singular subject or a plural subject? Having failed to do so will actually lead you to wrong answers. Let's begin with the first rule. A singular subject takes a singular verb. A plural subject takes a plural verb. Here is a sample sentence. My classmate submits his outputs on time. The subject is classmate, and this is singular because there's only one classmate that I'm referring to in my sentence. And of course, the verb is submits. It's singular. Take note that a singular verb has an S, and a plural verb doesn't have an S. Again, subject, classmate, singular. The verb should be submits. However, if we're going to change the subject into classmates, example, my classmates submit their outputs on time. Next example, the commander-in-chief gives his subordinates a brief orientation. Again, the commander-in-chief gives his subordinates a brief orientation. So the subject is commander-in-chief, and there is only one person in our subject, and therefore it should take a singular verb. And the verb here is gives. Second rule, the pronouns you and I require plural verb. Again, the pronouns you and I require plural verb. Now, even if it seems to be singular subjects, it takes plural verb. And this is one of the exemptions in our general rule. Example, you bring joy to my life. You is the subject. Even if I'm pertaining to only one person, and that is you, the one I'm talking to, it takes a plural verb. You is the subject, bring is our verb, no S. Next example is, I write poems. The subject is I, even if there's only one, me, it takes plural verb. I write. I don't say I writes. Again, I write poems. In case of the pronoun I, if we're going to have the past tense of the be verb for that, for example, I am a resident of Batangas City. If that's present, I must use I am. However, if I'm going to change the verb into past tense, it will become I was. I was a resident of Batangas City. It's not I were. But if you're gonna ask me about the phrases you probably heard before, like I were, blah blah blah, then that's already another issue because that's about the moods of the verb. Like if I were a fairy, if I were an astronaut, or something like that. So that's a different case because it's already conditional. And it's no longer about the rules on subject-verb agreement because it's already another rule in English. So we're going to talk about that next time. Our next rule is about indefinite pronouns. Take note, there are indefinite pronouns that are singular and there are also plural. So you have to make sure or to distinguish one from the other for you to be able to identify the correct number of verb that you're going to use. Indefinite pronouns like each everyone, everybody, everything, anybody, anything, nothing, all, someone, somebody, something, nobody, another, either, neither require singular verbs. On the other hand, several and many take plural verbs. Example sentence, someone makes a dramatic entrance. Someone is our subject here and someone is a singular indefinite pronoun. Therefore, it should take a singular verb. Our verb here is makes. Someone makes. Okay. Next rule, the phrase a number requires plural verb. And the phrase the number requires singular verb. Example, a number of job seekers attend the job fair. So the phrase a number of job seekers require a plural verb because again, if it's the phrase a number, it should be plural. The number, it should be singular verb. Okay? If we're going to change the phrase a number into the number, then it will require a singular verb. Here goes the sentence. The number of job seekers attends the job fair. Next rule is for abstract nouns. We know that these are the nouns that are intangible because these are ideas, feelings, and concepts that we cannot touch. Okay? These abstract nouns like happiness, anger, generosity, excitement are considered singular and therefore they should take singular verbs. Examples, his generosity opens an avenue for others to share. Again, his generosity is our subject, opens, singular verb, an avenue for the others to share. Another example, love is unconditional. Next rule, a noun that is introduced by a fraction or percentage may either be singular or plural depending on the of the phrase. Here are the example sentences. 1/2 of the entries were submitted to the screening committee. In the sentence, it starts with the fraction 1/2. So, our identification whether the subject is singular or plural depends on the of the phrase. In our sentence, we have of the entries. And since entries is plural, then it should take a plural verb. That is why we have were submitted, not was submitted. Another sentence, 1/2 of the entry was revised. Again, 1/2 of the entry was revised. It's of the same fraction, which is 1/2, but the number of the verb changed from were to was because of the phrase. As the rule says, it depends upon the of the phrase because our of the phrase here is of the entry. That is singular, therefore we have to use a singular verb, was. Next rule, if our subject is an amount of money, length of time, or a unit of measurement, it takes singular verb. Example, 10 meters of cloth seems too much for the skirting of that table. So it doesn't matter how long is the cloth because since that is a measurement or a length of something, it still takes singular verb. Next, 10 million pesos is a high price to pay. Again, 10 million pesos is a high price to pay. It doesn't matter if that's 1 peso, 2 pesos, or millions, it takes singular verb. Next rule is for the titles of the book, songs, or articles. Even if it seems to be plural, if that is just pertaining to one piece of article or a book or it takes singular verb. Example, Uncle Tom's Cabin is the basis of democracy. So even if there are, how many words are there in the title of the story, the novel? So Uncle Tom's Cabin, 3 words, it's just one title of the book, so singular, is or was the basis. Next rule, when positive and negative subjects are used, the verb agrees with the affirmative subject. So the verb must take the affirmative one or the positive one. Examples: diamonds, not gold, are mostly mined in Africa. Again, diamonds, not gold, are mostly mined in Africa. So it takes the affirmative one, which is the diamonds, and it ignores the negative, not gold. Okay. Next, the professor, not the students, decides for the educational trip in Mangyan communities in Mindoro. So it takes the affirmative, which is the professor, and not the students. That's why the verb is decides, singular for the professor. Next rule is for the collective nouns. We all know that collective nouns refer to a group of a person, place, or things. That is why these are usually taken as singular. However, there are times when we have to use the plural verb if our subject is even if our subject is a collective noun, because it still depends on the thought. Example: the staff is in the meeting. So we have here staff. It's a group of the employees. Okay, so we have singular, they are in the meeting. The staff is in the meeting, taken as one group. However, if we're gonna say the staff are in this agreement about the findings, we have to change the verb into plural because the staff here don't work as one. They don't act as one group because they are disagreeing with each other. So you can disagree with yourself. Okay. Our next rule is something confusing, and I won't blame you if one time you'll be confused like me as well. Okay? And this goes the rule: parenthetical expressions or intervening words do not affect the verb. Meaning, if the subject is singular, then it should take singular verb. If it's plural, then whatever the phrase is or intervening phrase is, it won't affect the verb. Example sentences: the professor, together with his students, visits historical places in Laguna. This is confusing because if we're going to analyze the sentence, the professor went with his students, meaning to say there are more than one person involved here. However, together with his students is only considered intervening phrase. In fact, it's separated by 2 commas. And I don't care who the professor is with, because I'm still talking about the professor alone. Okay? Therefore, I use the singular verb. The professor, together with the students, visits the historical places in Laguna. If originally the subject is plural, example, the teachers, together with their students, arrive late. Okay? So, whether there are intervening words or phrases, the subject in the first place is plural, the teachers, then there is nothing to be confused about. Alright, that concludes my discussion on the rules on subject-verb agreement. Now, I know I did not discuss all the rules, so it's up to you whether you wish to search for more from the internet. There's no problem with me as long as be able to distinguish false information from the facts. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and to my students, I'm gonna leave you an activity for this that you have to work on for me to assess your understanding. Thank you so much, and see you on my next videos. Bye!